I'm a psychic, and today I think I made a big mistake. Let me say first that yes, I am a psychic, and yes, it's real. Are any other psychics real? No clue. Haven't met them all. But I am. When I meet people, I know things about them. I can tell what they're thinking, and in some cases, I get flashes of their futures. It's nice sometimes, but a lot of the time it's pretty annoying. Well, I should clarify. What I see isn't annoying. What's annoying is pretending that I can't see it. Having to meet people and ask what their name is, then wait for them to answer. Having to ask all sorts of questions is the worst. Most days, I just wish that everybody was like me. Or everybody knew what I can do. It would save so much time, and if there's one thing I've learned from this, it's that nobody ever has as much time as they think. It would be so freeing to just be able to talk, to say things that I know or that I figure out, without first having to spend 20 minutes pretending to learn the information I'd need to figure something out. It's made even more infuriating when people refuse to answer some questions on account of it being too personal or too invasive, when I already know the answers. And no matter how hard I try, some people will just never give me a straight answer from their mouths. So I can never get to the point I'd gotten to in my head a half hour ago. Sometimes I think maybe everyone else is like me, and they're all having a laugh behind my back. It doesn't make sense that I'd be born with something no one else in the world has, especially since my parents didn't. But then I think, nah mate, you're fooling yourself. You'd be able to tell if they were tricking you, just like you always can. No matter how removed I am from the rest of humanity, it seems to only be in the ways that can get on my nerves, since I'm lucky enough to keep the coping mechanisms. Nothing I've tried yet can stop the lies that I tell myself to feel less alone. Blatant lies. What sort of reasoning is that? That I'd rather have the rest of my species tricking me than genuinely be as detached from me as they are. It can help sometimes, being a psychic. I've had success in my working life, since I know who to trust and how to get on people's good sides. But it's not really a matter of trust, is it? You don't trust the rock to fall. You know it. You expect it. But through knowing and through boredom, I've made a sizable amount of money in my life. Anyway, I'll get to the point. I think I made a mistake today. I let something slip. It was at a lunch with a group of mates. I hate lunches. No one makes an interesting point or comment that I don't have to hear twice. But I've got to keep up appearances and listen the second time. I go to pay, mainly just to get away from the discussion into something at least slightly less predictable, and get my wallet out to pay the person behind the counter. I'm pretty mentally fatigued from the past hour and a half of that BS, so when I get flashes from the person behind the counter, it's hard to keep the act up. What I saw in that person was the person who'd become my best friend. I knew his names, first, last, and middle. Saw the future of us hanging out and him just getting me. And me not hating the days. Chucking grapes into a pond at the gardens because he says they're better for the ducks, each cut in half so that none of them choke. Teaching him how to play hockey, and he rocks up with shin guards from when he was 9 and played soccer. Don't even come close to fitting him. And somehow, I'm enjoying myself in those moments. I don't know how. I don't know how I can be surprised and laugh when he brings the wrong shin guards if I know it'll happen 4 years ahead of time. I don't know how I can find his duck facts interesting, or how talking to him doesn't get boring. None of it makes any sense. But I want it. I'm tired, sick of putting on the act, and I want it. So I call him by his name, before he's told me, because I know it. And I'm too exhausted and too wanting to play it slow, to play the games that we built the friendship I know is inevitable. I don't want to go slow. I don't want to pay and leave, then come back to the store tomorrow because Hank left his wallet and have this guy tell us he was keeping it for us. I don't want to ask his name. I don't want to say hello to him 2 weeks down the line when we come back here. I don't want to invite him to join us when our group walks past him while strolling the city. I don't want to get his number. I don't want to invite him to parties and hangouts after that. I just want, for once, to skip all of that. So I made a mistake. I'd tell him his name. I try to explain myself, but I fumble my words. But once I've started, I can't back out. How do you bail from "I can read your mind"? Well, I know the answer. I know the exact sentence that would have made him laugh and forget about it. But I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to look for it. I wanted to speak without making calculations. So I tell him, and I explain that he's going to be my best mate. I tell him his first and last name, and tell him his wife's name, and when their kid had his birthday, and how when he was younger he fell off his bike on Bluff Road and swore he'd never ride it again, only to be back on it the next day. I told him what he wanted to do, and what he thought about settling down, and where he'd idly considered moving to last week. Just to prove it, so he didn't think I was crazy. Well, he just smiled, in the way that people behind counters are paid to do. And he asked me for 62.55 again. It was like he hadn't heard me. I tried again, even more desperate, but I got the same result. And the clock behind him wasn't moving. And I couldn't tell what he was thinking anymore. I got freaked back to my senses at this point, and I just took the cash from my wallet to give him. Gave me a nod, still smiling, and watched me head back to the table where my other group of mates had finished their predictable, boring conversation and were getting ready to leave. I was a bit shaken, but I tried not to let it show.
Hey, what's the matter, Paul? More than you expected?
I went to shake my head, but before I could answer, Hank was already reaching for his pocket.
No, you know what? You're always pen. Let me, Hey, where's my... Jeez, look at that. They left my wallet on the table. That would have been a disaster.
He picked it up, tugged through it, gave me a 20.